LinkedIn lead generation changed a ton in 2024 with all the new changes like limiting connection and message requests to 1 to 200 per week and recent algorithm changes. It's harder to do lead generation on LinkedIn than ever before. The days of using a single account to blast outreach to thousands of people are over, and LinkedIn has been cracking down on automation more and more over time. But I figured out ways around those new changes and how to actually take advantage of them. And the best part is, because 99% of LinkedIn users aren't aware of this new best way to generate leads, if you know what it is and how to use it, generating highly qualified leads on LinkedIn is actually easier than before. In this video, I'm going to show you the absolute best way to do LinkedIn lead generation right now and for the future. I'll give you the exact frameworks that's generating us 90% connection acceptance rates and helped us book over 300 calls in the last 90 days alone. So get ready, we're going to get into it. So LinkedIn is the best platform to be doing one-to-one DM outreach. And this is for two reasons. The first is the amount of data available on LinkedIn means that it's almost impossible not to be able to find your perfect ideal customer. And the second reason is because we're able to filter for headcounts, revenue, and proxies for budget. It's very, very likely that your ICP has budget on LinkedIn too. Several years ago, there used to be no connection limit, but now we're seeing an imposition of a limit of around 100 to 200 per week. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that go down over time. This unfortunately puts a hard cap on the amount of outreach that you can do unless you're using some of the strategies that I'm going to describe in this video. Now, if you're in the growth stage, like most businesses always should be, you're going to be struggling to get enough prospects to hear about you, know about you through one-to-one DM outreach when you consider the limitations around connection volume, algorithm changes, and ultimately just trying to get in front of your leads. Now, when you try to think about the opposing solution to this, which is probably cold email, you're going to notice that your response rates are lower than ever. The market is spamming leads like crazy, and trust is at an all-time low. Hence, outreaching from a platform that shows your face and your personal brand can be all the difference. Now, right now, there's no message cap on message sending. What that means is you can message as many of your connections as you want per day, provided that you're not spamming them or you're being blocked or marked as spam by the recipients of the message. There's even a hard limit on the number of profile views you can do on LinkedIn per week before you get flagged as looking suspicious behavior and being told to stop looking at profiles. Now, although these new restrictions are bad and limit our outreach volume, there are some really interesting, unique workarounds. For example, there's a software that is born out of necessity even and allows you to rotate between LinkedIn accounts, allowing you to message a longer list of profiles using multiple accounts and get more profile views, more connections, more messages sent with the same amount of manual work that you were doing previously. Now, before we look at how to rotate through profiles to maximize outreach volume, we should think about how we set up profiles for maximum connection acceptance rates and efficiency. So here's an example, and it's my profile over here. And what we're seeing here is that I'm extremely focused on the outcome that I provide. And the reason why I do this is so that when prospects see my profile or they're getting a connection request from me, they look at it and go, hey, that helps me. There's something in there for me to connect with this person or to engage with this person. So it's incredibly important, specifically in the headline, which is what you see when you get connection requests. Like, for example, over here, you need to make the headline visibly valuable for the reader or the person you're sending the connection request to. So generally, you should make it about them. What can you do for them? What value can you provide for them? How can you help them grow their business? Now, typically what happens is someone sees an invitation and they might either accept it just off the back of that, given that the headline has called out an outcome that they do or the ICP that they help. Very similar to my one, how I say book X number of calls for your agency or coaching business. And if they then choose to actually investigate that profile further and click through, you'll want to start to show some interesting pieces on the profile. You'll want to show the headline and the banner, and you want to be very consistent with the same messaging. You want people to really believe that this is the outcome or this is the value that you provide. Typically, they then scroll down and they look at your featured posts. So in the featured posts, again, you want to repeat the same message you used in your banner, in your headline, and literally follow it through. Then as they scroll down again, they start to read your posts. Now, it's very important, in my opinion, on LinkedIn to be posting regularly, because the more often you post, the more social proof you have behind you. And interestingly, the higher the acceptance rate will be on your messages, purely because you're active on the profile, you're posting, and they can go into your profile and into your posts and investigate what you do, who you serve, how you help, and then they're more likely to accept your connection connections rate. Now, the number one rule I use when making LinkedIn profiles is to focus on the outcome. What is the number one thing that you can do for your ICP, and how can you say it in as short a way as possible? Typically, the format that I love to use is verb outcome for ICP. For example, you say a verb, the outcome you give, and for the ICP you do it for. So for example, I book 15 to 30 calls per month for agencies. If you put that in your headline, I guarantee your acceptance rates will increase. So for this strategy to work, you want all your profiles to be set up in a similar way and using the same sort of strategy. Now, obviously, there are smaller, more interesting little bits at play around your featured posts, your CTA links, your job experience description. But if you get the headline right, you're 90% on the way there. And now the profiles are set up, we can head into the software, hook them up, and get going. So I'm on HeyReach right now, and I'm going to go into my HeyReach account, click on LinkedIn accounts, and click connect account. So here we go. I've added in my email, my password, and now we're connecting up to LinkedIn. So HeyReach is super secure, and even if you have 2FA set up, it allows you to enter the PIN in and get that sorted out too. So just by entering my username and my password, and I've clicked up my PIN, I now have access to HeyReach on my account, which is over here. Now I just need to repeat this for as many accounts as I want, and I'll have everything inside HeyReach. Now what's cool is HeyReach is made for team members. There's no limit on how many team members you can add to your account. So you go into settings, you click team members, and then you can literally invite members over here. So I'll invite my email, I can click send an invitation. Now when everyone is invited, I can head over to the dashboard, which is over here, and I can look at each profile, their connections sent, their campaigns, and an overall dashboard that shows everything about how they do on LinkedIn. Now usually on LinkedIn, you can only see 1,000 profiles on a people search, and that's usually a hard limit you can't break. But since I just showed you how to add as many accounts as you like on LinkedIn and rotate them, there's also a way to add as many leads as you like on LinkedIn, because the sky is the limit with this software. Now this is one of the most cost-effective lead list building methods. You simply put a search term, say we're looking for founders, and we can click on here and choose filters. So we can do stuff like industry, school, open to, all these sort of things over here. So we can say like title, let's say it has to say founder in it, and it's got to be in the United States, and it's got to be a second or third degree connection. I can click show results, and I'm going to get a search term over here. I can then just copy and paste this search URL that's come on LinkedIn, and I can head over to leads. When you go into leads, you can then click add leads, and you can choose between all these different ways to outreach to people. The simplest one is just to click LinkedIn search bar, click continue, and all you got to do is paste in the URL search. So you just paste it in over here. Now for you to trigger account rotation, you just select multiple senders. So I can select 2 senders over here, and I can say founders in the US, and then I just need to click start importing. They're going to start importing all the URLs. No other extra scrapers required, no extra software is required. I just did it in literally 2 clicks. So as you can see here, HeyReach is importing all the LinkedIn searches, and I can go through this columns and have a look at all these leads, and I can even click on a profile and then click over to view profile on LinkedIn, and I can check out Charles Hakim right now on LinkedIn and see if he's qualified. Now if, say, for whatever reason I think, hey, this guy's not really qualified for my offer or for my messaging, I can scroll to the right hand side and I can literally remove him from the list in a single click. So I can be easily changing and adapting my lead list depending on what qualification metrics I need on a micro individual person level as well. Now one of the great parts about this software is that it lets you integrate with lots of other tools. For example, Clay, RB2B, Triggerfy, Zapier, Asana, Common Room, SmartLinks, like everything. It's awesome. And HeyReach is one of the only tools that has such amazing integration features that you can basically build mini apps on yourself and send leads when as soon as they become qualified or they become warm straight into your outbound stack. So for example, Clay is amazing for data enrichment. So a lot of businesses, and myself included, use Clay to clean up our data first, and then we webhook straight into HeyReach as well. I also have a bunch of custom scrapers set up on LinkedIn looking for commenters, likers, and profile viewers, collecting that data, qualifying that data, and then pushing it into HeyReach to send them an automated outbound campaign. All extremely easily because HeyReach's APIs are really strong and powerful. And the greatest thing is everything is centralized right here, so you don't have to copy and paste CSVs or copy and paste URLs or columns or rows. You just need to click a few buttons and it's all done for you. By the way, if this has been interesting so far, just take a second and click subscribe. I'll be posting pretty regularly from here now on about LinkedIn, lead generation, and just outreach in general if that's interesting for you. So that didn't take very long at all, and now we're pretty close to being able to actually write the messages and start doing the outreach. But first, we want to make sure our strategy is dialed in and ready to go before we start sending. Now, right now, the bar is pretty low for outreach. More people are getting into the B2B space. All the automation tools and bot accounts are really not helping people's message requests, and inboxes messages are being blown up with trash. And actually, that gives us a really great position. It's a position where we can come in with great outreach, great messaging, and blow the competition out of the water. So you've probably heard it a million times over, but if there's one thing you take away from this video, it's be as personalized as possible scale. So if you're new to this, here's a template that I like to use. The general framework when I do outreach is a two-parter. It's observation then question. So I make some sort of observation of the lead or the prospect, and then I ask a really simple to answer question in order to start and carry on a conversation. There are a few rules that I follow during outreach, which is try to be conversational, show relevance, and these two things really help me create more responses from my messages. So for example, we could write a message that goes along the lines of, hey name. So that's the first line personalization. It's not quite a deep one. And I might go, nice newsletter on topic. Now getting all this data is quite easy using AI and Clay and ChatGPT. And so we'll go into that slightly later. But let's just write a message out that's super personalized and go from there. I might then say, gave it a read and had to reach out. I know you're focusing on thing, and that can again be another personalization variable. And so let's say it was an e-com brand and they had a newsletter about what they were selling, about nice newsletter on detoxifying with your product. I know you're focusing on getting new customers. Given we recently helped similar company get result, wondered if you want to see the playbook. And that's it. That's an observation and then a really subtle, low friction question. Now, the more personalized you can make these variables, the more specific it is to the person receiving it, the more likely you are to get a response. This pretty much could work for any niche because you're able to personalize all these different variables over here. Now, when you're sending messages and follow-ups, don't be annoying. Don't be that person that keeps hitting up the inbox with useless information. LinkedIn DMs are not like cold email. In cold email, when you send an email, you can just burn your inbox out, get a new inbox and send again, and everyone's forgotten who you are. But in LinkedIn DMs, you have to remember there's a message history. They can always go back and scroll through your conversations. You don't want to be too aggressive in your follow-ups, and it's why I generally like to leave bigger gaps in follow-ups. I generally like 3 to 10 days as a gap sometimes. Now, if they haven't responded to me, a follow-up for me might be, shall I send over a vid covering it, or here's the playbook even? And I might send that again after like 3 to 10 days. So the point is I'm actually giving value, and I'm not trying to force the prospect to buy from me or give a response. I'm just trying to give them more value in that process. Now, these are the frameworks and methods that we're seeing work best on average. Now, for your specific ICP, you should be thinking about this with a grain of salt. Use this as a framework and as a starting point, but deeply think about what sort of ICP you target and what sort of message do they want to hear? What sort of outcome do they care about? And then craft your message off the back of that. Now, trust yourself. If you had something working in the past, just try to scale it up with HeyReach and get more volume on the messages and try to increase the variability and the personalization of it using HeyReach. So now that we're ready to send, our copy is written, our leads are ready, we can go out and open HeyReach's campaign sender. So if you're on HeyReach, you can click over to campaigns and then click start new campaign. So let's give it the name founders in the US. We'll use our previous list and we can select the lead list we want to use. So let's say it was founders in the US and we have 1,601 leads here. Now we have some really interesting exclude options. We can exclude people that we've messaged already and my first reconnections to make sure that I'm only hitting up new leads. And sometimes I want to exclude leads with no profile picture just to make sure that I'm only getting the most active of profiles and using my connection limits and quota to its best potential. You can then click continue and then choose your LinkedIn senders. And again, we're choosing multiple because we want to rotate through inboxes, and then click continue. And then we can build a sequence. So for example, we might view the profile and then the next day we might like the profile and then we're going to send them a connection request. Typically, I do really like sending blank connection requests. I think it's been proven across many data sources that a blank connection request has a higher acceptance rate than one that's filled with messages. So we go blank, I'll then wait 2 days most likely, and then send a message akin to what we were doing previously. So I'm going to copy and paste the message into HeyReach and we can start collecting and changing the variables. So we can click here and click first name. And then if I had imported this as a CSV, I would have been able to add in more custom variables. So I could have added in a topic variable, for example. I could have added in a similar company variable and made this message really, really personalized. So for now, let's just say nice newsletter on ecom, and we'll go from there. You can also add a bunch of message variations. So you can click message B, message C, and then it will rotate through those messages and then tell you which ones are performing better for your profile on LinkedIn. When I mention personalization, this is the real power of it. So here I am using Clay. Clay is a sort of AI-powered Google Sheets, and it can do really cool things. So in Clay, I basically uploaded a list of newsletters which I found that were relevant to my potential prospects. I then scraped the newsletters and I was able to have AI read the last last post of the newsletter and then create a 1-sentence summary which said something along the lines of just read your post on topic. And that's really cool because I can then export this whole list as a CSV, import it into HeyReach, and use that single sentence as a variable, which is incredibly personalized, and it dramatically increased my message response rates. And again, the beauty of HeyReach is that it has something called a unibox. So what this means is I can actually filter through Paolo's conversations and my conversations in a single inbox, look at all our messages and respond to them all from a single place. So I no longer have to log into multiple Chrome profiles and risk any accounts getting banned or flagged as suspicious behavior. So that's the actual best LinkedIn lead gen outreach strategy that works at scale and personalized on LinkedIn right now. And if you want to check out the software I was using, it's called HeyReach. And best of all, you can actually start using it for free in the description link down below, which means that you are able to maximize your value, whether you're a one-person man team or you have a whole company operating and you want to rotate between loads and loads of accounts. Now, if you want to know absolutely everything about generating leads on LinkedIn, I've actually made a full course down below that you can access, and we've used the exact same things in this full course to book in 15 to 30 qualified calls for our clients, and then in the last 90 days booked in over 300 calls across multiple accounts. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one.